Welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Today's guests, if I could put them on the screen there, Jorge Guerra. Today's guest is one of the many superstars facilitators slated for the RE Bar Camp One Coast. He's the global liaison with the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, the current treasurer of the Florida Realtors, and CEO of the Real Estate Salesforce, RESF is commonly known in the South Florida area. In 2020, he was chairman of the Miami Association of Realtors. He's also served as president of the residential board of the Miami Association of Realtors, chair of Emerging Business and Technology Forum for NAR, chair of the Top 50 Brokers Committee at the Florida Realtor. He is an international keynote speaker. He believes it's no longer about curb appeal, it's about web appeal. Let's welcome Jorge Guerra to the show. Jorge,
thank you very much. Thank you for the kind intro. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on today and taking the time there. I'm going to get both of us up there on the screen so everyone can see us. Dug a little bit into your social media. Watched actually some of your videos on your website of some of your keynotes and so forth. So I want to start off right with that quote, because I think that kind of is one of your themes. I think because you put it out there. It's no longer about curb appeal; it's about web appeal. So give us a little background about that, and then we'll dig in a little background about you.
You know what? One of my favorite quotes. And to be honest with you, I need you to imagine the real estate market has just crashed. I am in my mid-20s and I was a real estate broker at the cusp of the internet booming. Mm-hmm. And during that time frame, I had an aha moment. You know what? The internet is really going to change the game. And it's really going to be who's able to really market property in a way that makes the consumer feel like they can make a decision from their iPhone, their computer, or their iPad. So for me, in one of the most competitive markets, I made it a point to make that my focus. I wanted to be known. If you had one of my listings, it was going to be a full-fledged marketing offense. We were going to create incredible content. And, as Miami grew, our international presence grew. And again, that type of marketing for that international market is a godsend for them. So for me, it just sort of played off very well for us. And again, I was in my mid-20s in an industry that the average broker was 64 years old, and our industry went 90% online. So that was where I sort of started playing off that.
I think, anyone realizing where you're at, but I mean, really everywhere now. You're here in Northeast Florida and Greater Jacksonville. The demand here is high. We even have people moving up from the South. So maybe more domestically, we may not have the international percentage that obviously Miami, South Florida does. But do you believe? At least I don't believe enough agents are doing enough video. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think that we get hired more often than not, for our ability to bring buyers. And, real estate is an emotional decision. Any opportunity that you can to create that emotion, you have to take it. And the beauty about video is that they see it, they like it, they share it. They share with all their friends and their family. Now it becomes part of their emotion. They go at night underneath their pillow, they turn on their video and they see it again. They fantasize on what it's going to be to be living in the house. And again, anytime you can create that experience outside the real property, I think it's our duty.
How true is it, especially for I heard one time, and this was years ago, but new construction, a lot of times the buyers, before they even go in the model the first time, I've already looked at that floor plan and so forth, half a dozen times before they even go in.
Are you kidding me? So you're speaking to somebody who started his real estate career in new construction, absolutely. That floor plan. They take it to Home Depot, they take it to the furniture store, they visualize, they fantasize, they look at their current furniture and see what they're going to sell in their garage sale. And all that adds layers to the emotion, that ties them with that property.
Right. I'm going to step back a little bit. I wanted to get that opening statement there because I love that quote. And we'll talk about it more in depth here in a little bit. Tell us a little bit, where you're from, and then how did you end up at Florida International?
So, born and raised in South Florida. I'm a homegrown kid. Father was a construction laborer. My mother was a housewife to two twins and myself. If you ever have twins, you know that it's a full-fledged assault. Went to all Catholic schools, grade school, high school, and I started a Catholic high school in the first or second semester of my college. I decided to get my real estate license. And from there, my first experience as a sales assistant, as a part-time employee, I had an aha moment. I'm in love with, the art of the sale. I'm in love with putting deals together. And from that point forward, I jumped into sales. I want to say my first year, I ended up being the number one salesperson within my company, and forget about it. Unfortunately, the real estate bug grabbed me. I rode the pre-construction train until the market crashed. And when the market crashed, is when I really diversified my practice. I looked at, the market. And first of all, I told myself I never really want to niche myself ever again that hard into a sub-market. I wanted to go general and make sure that as the market moved, that we were able to capture that. And that's when I was alluding to earlier, the market crashed, the internet boomed. I was in my mid-20s. The average broker was in their 60s. That I said, you know what? Aha, this internet, this marketing game, this ability to grow your reputation much faster, it's going to happen on this new platform. And that's when I started, number one, making a commitment in my market, saying that every single property that we list, we're going to make a movie of. And if you have all the time in the world, you can peruse my YouTube channel and you can see our very first listing. I look like I'm having an epileptic seizure, showing the property. But if you see the evolution, we've got it to almost a science. Yeah. And from a marketing perspective, if you look at our Instagram, you'll see, and this is an influence of my wife, our consistent marketing, same color, same scheme, same font, again, trying to buy real estate in your mind.
What was it? I'm always intrigued. What was it? You were in school, and did you know somebody in real estate? Did you just, you were looking for a part-time job and that was available? What was it that actually, brought you there?
So you know what? I'm a little embarrassed, but I'll tell you, my father was a hard laborer, and we grew up as kids. I have a brother and a sister that are both twins, and my father gave us two options every morning. And he said, you can either be a doctor, you can be an attorney, you can pick one. I'm working outside here in the sun in order to give you a better life. So I was really good at science, and I decided to go into the pre-med direction. So I went to Barry University, got involved in all the pre-med programs, and I broke up with my girlfriend. And to be honest with you, I wanted to party. I didn't want the 8 a.m. to midnight studying. I wanted just one semester off. All of my friends were calling me saying, George, we're over here. We're over here doing this, doing that. Right. And as sad as it was to party. And my father told me, don't think you're going to live off my dime. You're going to go to work. So I did hard labor that summer for a week until I found a sales office in the middle of the construction site. And I talked my way in to getting a part-time job there. And then forget about it. Once I saw the inner workings of that sales office, I got this. I can sell. And by the end of that semester, again, I was the number one salesperson in that office. The owner offered me a job and a salary that I couldn't refuse at that time. And, never again did I ever look back until the market crashed. And then I had to,
that's awesome.
I had to sort of refile myself, refigure out what direction I was going to get. But I was young and I was hungry. I had my wife pregnant, and I bought a house that I couldn't afford. All the motivating factors, to hit it hard.
So you're at the new construction, and what you look about 2007 or so, 8, or even sooner. Basically, and a new construction basically came to a halt.
So I started in 1999, if you can imagine that, and obviously the pre-construction market crashed in around 2006, but we didn't realize it till 2007. It took us a year to sort of come to terms with that reality.
So when do you branch off? It's around this time where you RESF, right? The real estate sales force.
You got
You
it.
break off and
So
create that
so
at that time, or how does that come to about?
so you know what? Our RESF, real estate Salesforce, was again designed to represent developers. When the market crashed, I sort of shifted and said, you know what, I'm going more general. And
Mhm.
I told you earlier that my wife was pregnant. I had a mortgage that I probably couldn't have afforded at the time, but I needed to generate some money. So I actually went out there and started knocking on doors. And one lesson that I learned was that number one, reputation was key. Because when I would knock on doors, people would say, George, I love your enthusiasm, but Sally Jesse Raphael, she's been selling here for a decade and everybody knows her. It wasn't until I had lunch with a buddy of mine that came from the New York Film Academy that he showed me a video online. And I know that sounds like very easy to do right now, but back then it was impossible. I was in shock. How did you get that video online? So I told myself that night, I go, if I can record real estate video and put it online, I would come up with a value proposition that nobody in my market really had. And more
Nice.
importantly, that nobody had consistently. So I went and I bought a Macintosh, I bought a camera that didn't match what I was trying to do. And I went online and I did some editing lessons and I shot my first video. Again, it looked like I was having a seizure with a camera. But I was able to put it together. And when I started knocking again, I told people, hey, you know what? People are going online.
Yeah.
If you let me list your property, I'm going to avoid 1,000 people coming in and I'm going to get this type of exposure. And people bought into it. They said, hey, you know what, kid? You're right. You do make sense. And from there, I got my aha moment. You know what? Aha, George, the only way you're going to make it is you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to work smarter. And
Mhm.
you're going to have to try to position yourself, ahead of the market, only because of the competitiveness that we're in. So from that point forward, I told myself every listing that I get, I'm going to videotape and make a movie of. And then as I started growing my firm, people bought into that philosophy. Hey, if you come over here, this is how we present and this is how we move forward. And here we are, close to 500 agents later. We have 5 offices covering all of South Florida, and all these gray hairs, which I started with none.
Where were you posting those initial videos? How are you getting those
So,
out there?
so great question. And I had to create a website, put it in an FTP site, okay, link it to a video player, and I would also create RSS links to Apple's video podcast, because YouTube didn't exist at that time.
Right.
So that's the way I was hosting it on an FTP site. We had a player on our website, and on the MLS, we would put a link to our website. Hey, if you want to watch a video, click on this link.
How then? Okay, so now today they all talk about funnels and everything else. Click on the website. Videos are the great way to start leading people into the funnel and start getting those leads that you started talking about. Or were you all of a sudden getting a lot of attraction from the listing side, where people are like, hey, I want to put my list my house with George because he's videoing. Where did you start seeing the business come from, or did you see it coming from both sides at the same time?
So you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Number one, I saw the business coming first and foremost from the confidence that agents had having it as a tool to go out there and prospect with.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, video isn't still very dominant. Wasn't very dominant when I first started. Owners would see our marketing and they would say, "Hey, you know what? I saw that property that sold next door. When I went to go visit the listing, I saw a video." And you know what? I want a video for my listing moving forward. So think of word of mouth. Number two, and this is my favorite, buyers that bought our listings, that fell in love with the video, would come back to us and say, hey, George, you know what? We want to sell our house. We've done some updates. Can you come back and reshoot it? But we want you to represent us. So think from all those aspects. When it comes to funnels, as much as I would love to tell you that, man, we funnel all the time, we don't funnel at all. We try to be as direct. We try to put as little boundaries in between us and our clients. All of our videos end with a phone number and an email, and we want to connect, to be honest with you.
There's another quote I pulled off one of your sites here, and talking about RESF, and almost, nearly 500 agents there, 5 offices, as you mentioned. Your favorite part of real estate is building up agents. Tell us a little bit about that.
So you know what, in my market,
Mm-hmm.
out of 10 that come into my market, only 2 survive. And I blame a little bit of the system. Without naming any names, there's some brokerages that are designed, to suck an agent dry. And at the very beginning of your career, there's some hard work that needs to happen. There's some training that you need to sort of master. There's some marketing I's and T's that you need to cross, that need to happen. And people do a very poor job of organizing people and setting them up for success. So for me, having as many agents as we've had, being an independent company, and being as hands-on as we've been, we've seen it all. We know what works. We know what doesn't work. We know how to get it to work. We understand that people work in different ways. So it's really about communication, collaboration, but more importantly, understanding those things that move the needle, and really telling the agents, hey, forget about a lot of these shiny new objects. These are things that, through the test of time, and at the same time, at the speed of now, are moving our industry. So for us, that's really been our focus. And the testament is the success of our top agents within our industry.
I imagine you remember back when it was just you and your wife, and now, like I said, you're pushing 500 agents. How important is, I talk to a lot of agents here in the greater Jacksonville area. They're top producers, or they got a top producing team. But obviously none of them are near the 500 agents that you've accumulated and retained, because that's the word, is retained. You can't advance and grow unless you're retaining the person that's already in front of you. What are some of the early things that you did? Obviously delivering value. I'm sure you've had a lot of agents come and go, whether they're no longer in the business or have moved to other brokerages or whatever. But finding some of those key people and retaining them, what are some of the challenges that successes and challenges that you had in that process over the roughly 15 years or plus now that you've had RESF?
So when it comes to agents leaving and coming, there's an old saying in our industry, 1/3 are coming in, 1/3 stay, and 1/3 leave. And I think it's part of the agent's growth process. Sometimes agents need to experience other situations in order for them to grow. What I have learned is, and what I've witnessed is that, those that stay together the longest end up going the farthest. This is a reputation business, and the more solid that reputation is built, the better it is. And when it comes to building relationships, I have agents that have been with me since the first day. They come into my office and we almost don't need to talk. I know what's going on. Or when they call me, I know the reasons. They only call me for these specific reasons. And again, it really allows us to really move at a very fast speed. One of my good friends also has a saying as well, and this is one of my favorite sayings that I steal from them. It's good to be firstborn, second wife, third broker. Firstborn, you get all the attention. Second wife, you're done with all the BS. And third brokers, because you figure out that, hey, no company, no tool is going to make you successful. At that point, it's really you. So it's really about finding, where you feel that you're a fit, where the culture, vibes with you, where you feel, that your word is heard, and that your opinions are also, valued as well. And where you're motivated to grow. And again, people find that in different places, different cultures, different splits, different, tiers. But for me, what has been successful for me is really focusing my eye on what I feel is important. Making sure that, I vet all the objects, shiny new objects that come into my office, that I have a very healthy tech stack that really moves my industry, that I focus on, the client experience, and that when it comes to the agents, that number one, that they're trained, at the speed of now, at what's current and what's hot, but more importantly, that they know that we are a big family and that building culture for us is important. that here at RESF, we're not only here for a commission, we're here to make a difference. So we're very involved in our community. And I can go on and on
Yeah.
on what makes us different, and why people stay. But it's really about the culture, and it's really about those that understand that we love to build agents. So the longer they stay, the more effort we put into building them. And there's very few brokerages that really have that focus and that really do it. I love to tell this to my agents. I haven't worked in the last 15 years. I jump out of bed, going to work. I love what I do. I love sitting in a room, brainstorming, planning out, what the future holds, and more importantly, being part of their success.
Well, I mean, you're in a very unique group to build a real estate brand to that. I mean, you're right there. The Keller Williams, the Coldwell Bankers. I mean, to have that many agents, you're across 5 offices, 500 agents. Obviously, you can't be in all places all times. But you're overseeing it. How do you maintain with your leadership team to maintain, I imagine each office is a little different because we're different people, but yet keep that ideology that you're talking about across the entire brand?
So great question. And I'm going to be honest with you. We leverage technology. Mm-hmm. So as I alluded to you earlier, that we invested early in video, when it came to our communication platform that we use in our company, we've also been investing in it for a very long time. So here at my company, we use a program called Workplace. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Nope.
Have you?
No. I think I've seen the brand or something on that, probably a LinkedIn advertisement or something, but didn't know what it did.
So Workplace is Facebook's stepbrother. So I want you to imagine that you get Facebook and you uninvite everybody. And then you put it on your domain and you invite your agents in there. So what we've tried to do is, to be honest with you, is to create the same value propositions that we have in our office in the cloud. And the way that we leverage it is with a program called Workplace, which is exactly like Facebook, but it's separate. And, my oldest agent is 80 years old. My youngest agent is 19. And what they both have in common is Facebook. So it's a very easy platform for them to enter in and really navigate and understand where to find things, how to search. So in our Workplace, I have all my office admins that have to be visible and present there. All of our trainings are done on Zoom. They're recorded. We put captions and they're hosted there. All of our marketing is, itemized there and indexed there. We have a built-in knowledge library. We have a calendar. We have different channels, like ask your questions, we got answers. And my lenders have a tab, my attorney has a tab. You can literally log in there and get your questions answered, find all of our marketing gear, speak with our attorney, speak with our lender, without even walking into the office. So we've invested, we've known that as the agent's ability to search on their phone, to find value on their phone, to sign contracts on their phone, that mobility is going to make them less and less present in the office. So we have to bring the office to them. So we've invested, the last 5 or 6 years, curating that atmosphere for them. And as they join our company, we indoctrinate them into that system, and those that use it don't miss a beat.
How do you treat the, because there's some agents now, my wife is one of those, she's with, Florida Homes, large in the state. I mean, she doesn't go in because they don't really have, they have some little pop-up offices basically, but not very large, few cubicles, maybe kind of, just come into a conference room should you want to meet with a client face-to-face or something versus a coffee shop, I guess. But how do you differentiate, or when you have a prospective agent, maybe you're trying to recruit or someone's come to you and they're looking at your setup, how do you express to them how basically it doesn't really matter whether if you want to come in every day, there's an office space there. If you don't, you've got Workplace and tap into that.
Well,
how do you?
So when it comes to our trainings, we do them live. If you can't make it, we host it on Zoom. And if you miss the Zoom, we sort of record it. So one of the things that I try to do is put you in a position where there's no excuses. It's really up to you. You know, you want it live? Come over here. We'll do it live. You know, if you can't drive here, we give it to you on Zoom. And if you're busy, you can watch it on video. Real estate, unfortunately, is like the gym. You're gonna have to make an effort. That effort has to be consistent. It has to come from you. You know, brokers want you to succeed. Brokers are gonna put the tools in front of you to succeed. And whatever you don't know, brokers are terrible at being proactive. You know, we're awesome at being reactive. So you know, you have to let us know what you're missing, what you want. And if they're not able to deliver, then you might have outgrown your broker. But I would always be chasing education. I'd be always looking to sharpen my tools. I tell my agents this, and you're gonna love this. I tell my agents that I'm the best trainer in the whole entire world. That nobody comes close to me. You know, and then I go to YouTube, and there's people that are 10 times better than me. So I tell them that education starts with me. It doesn't end with me. You know, right. I go online to get my education. You know what I try to create is I try to create an honest base that's consistently training, that's adding value, that's creating great marketing, that's there to answer your questions, and that's open to great ideas, and that wants you to succeed and wants to succeed as well. So outside of that, you know, the internet has the best door knocker, you know, trainer, the best farmer out there. You know, it's really to figure out where you want to go in this beautiful industry that's real estate, that has so many options. You know, what niche do you want to get? And then really go to the end of the internet, you know, researching, sharpening your tools, bringing it back to your broker and saying, can you help me? How can you add some value to this? Let's work this together.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of you know, if we a recruiting statement from you a little bit here in this question I'm going to ask you. I think even in corporate America, you know, especially dealing with salespeople, we can get over on you need to be training consistently, but I guarantee you've had these agents that come in and they are taking in all this information, but they're not taking the time to do what they actually need and feed themselves, you know, to get out there and prospect. How do you control or monitor especially those agents in their first 3, 4, 6 months, whatever it may be? You probably have a number there to, you know what's time to prospect versus y'all taking whatever amount of hours a week to educate.
Great question. Traditionally, when I onboard an agent, all right, so I'll walk you through some of our processes. When I onboard an agent, if they are an experienced agent, I tell them in a very nice way, I'm going to rip you apart. You know, I'm going to talk to you about your schedule, your lifestyle, you know, what you're doing from a marketing perspective, what you're doing from a prospecting perspective, which is usually zero. You know, they're usually professional marketers. But what are you doing from a prospecting perspective? And that's how I start my conversation. If you're a brand new agent, okay, after we work up some of the core stuff that I need you to train, you know, I tell you, there's 2 things that I need you to create some consistency in, you know, marketing, you know, letting people know what you do for a living, you know, and prospecting, asking for business consistently. And the way that I preach that is I tell people I want an hour a day. You know, it's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym for an hour a day, what happens? You get fit no matter what, you know? So for me, I lobby for an hour a day. And if I can get an hour a day, I get 5 hours a week, I get 20 hours a month, and they start getting some traction. Not only do they start getting some traction, they start sharpening their tongue. I think the biggest culprit of an unsuccessful agent is the fact that they don't prospect consistently. They prepare, they buy the dialer, they get the scripts, you know, they look at the videos, but they don't go out there and swing. So for me, you know, I want 45 minutes to an hour every single day of prospecting. If you have the tenacity to do that, you're going to be successful. And if you don't, real estate might not be a career for you.
How important is it? 'Cause you used a few minutes ago, you were talking about being proactive versus reactive. Because I imagine, you know, an agent who might be listening to this right now, whether they're just in pre-licensing, maybe haven't chosen a broker, or maybe someone who's with a broker and it's, you know, the value add is diminished, and now they're looking for places. But how important is, you know, as a broker, you want everyone to be successful. You want your office to be successful. So you can't just, throw them in the car and say, go drive out there if they don't have any directions or where they should be. And that sort of thing. How, I know you can't do it yourself with that many agents, your team in following up. And I mean, do you require some of these new agents that you're onboarding to stick to a particular program for 90, 120 days, 6 months to kind of get the reps in, like working out in the gym, maybe, start them with a trainer so they know all the different exercises before you release them out on their own?
So great question. We don't do a 30 or a 60 or a 90 day. We do an every day. This is more like a lifestyle change, unfortunately. I'll share with you a little bit of how I break down my week when it comes to moving my agents and motivating my agents, and what they're learning. So every Monday, I do what's called Coffee with George, 20 minutes. It's my Monday meeting. I keep it short and sweet. I want you to get out there and work, but I want you to know, number one, what trainings we have that week, what we're marketing for, that week, any news. Every office has a roll call, and then we open up to questions and answers, just to see what's going on there. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we have our big trainings. Okay. And this is one thing that separates me from most of my competition. And it's that I don't train a residential agent. I train a real estate professional, which means residential, commercial, business brokerage, rental, Airbnb, and property management. And the reason why we train those different genres is because in my 24 years of owning RESF, as my clients grow, so did their needs. So I either have to grow up and learn or lose that client base. So that's every Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday, I do an exercise. And this exercise is called Multifamily Wednesday. Okay, we go online, we look at the new investment properties, and we critique the outside and the inside like if we were investors. We look at the rent roll, we look at the sale price, and we run 3 formulas: cap rate, cash on cash, and gross rent multiplier on every new investment property that comes in my market every single week. We usually like to create an investor list, or the people that we've already sold homes to, we like to encourage them to start building their wealth. And what better way than some investment real estate? Friday is called Money Call Friday. So Friday is where every single Friday we teach you prospecting on Friday. But Monday, you come into the office and we're prospecting. Tuesday, we're prospecting. Thursday, we're prospecting. Friday, we teach the class again, and we keep on repeating that. So that's how we sort of break up our Monday through Friday. That's how I keep them engaged. So it's sort of like the gym. You come in, you start back in, take the class, and start working on your own once you're ready.
How do you? So it sounds like, and this is something that I think all sales managers need to pay attention to. I've worked for companies who called sales meetings with no agendas. They really weren't, they really didn't plan out that 20-minute call for Monday morning to motivate everybody. It was kind of just a wing it call, and everyone started to realize it. So everyone starts to tune out. Do you spend a lot of time, focusing to make sure there's a huge amount of value in those calls and trainings?
So you haven't gained this from this podcast, but I'm super funny, so I leverage humor to sort of keep them engaged as much as possible.
What's George going to say this morning?
I try to get them involved in the training as well, and I try to add value. And I think as long as listen, it's tough to do a training every single Monday and it be super smooth and super engaging. But you know what? We make an effort. We look for variety in content. We look for things that catch the eye. If not, we got to sprinkle some humor. We got to have some fun. But for me, and this was born from the COVID days, it's just a place to ground you, to start your week. To look everybody face in the face and say, hey, eyes to eyes, and say, hey, we're doing it again this week. We're putting on the grind. Let me tell you what's going on, where it's going on. How's everybody doing? Does anybody have any questions? And you need that grounding. And with 500 agents, you can't get everybody in a room, and you need to leverage technology. More importantly, to start growing that culture. As my firm grows, they're going to need to be more comfortable going online, and I'm going to have to be very comfortable going online. And that's really the future, of our industry, as long as we remain mobile. As long as we're out there serving our clients and not going into the office, us brokers, we need to go to them. And, this is just one of the mediums that we do it with.
Right. So, and I imagine obviously you're Zooming. If they're driving in, they can, get you on their phone, or if they're dropping their kids off at school or whatever it is. What have you found in you're talking about building the culture? Cause I think this is very important. It's a great tip for, I know so many people, they want to build these teams, but to have that call, but obviously have people getting on that call and I understand 500 people are not going to probably get on that call, but I imagine your success over the years, you've measured how many people are getting on that Monday call, how many people are getting on the Friday training, and then seeing their success slowly, moving forward.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. We stalk them like a jealous girlfriend. So we call them, we text them, we email them, in order to remind them of those trainings.
Right. That you're just as much into as that. You're just not letting, okay, he didn't call in. That's his problem. You're going to stick with him for a little bit to edge him in, because, which I think that's the whole proactiveness. I really love that. I don't think enough people are proactive. And it's not just in real estate, it could be in the mortgage business where I'm at, but in sales in general. Sometimes people just don't know what to do, and you've got to be that coach. You're like, hey, you got to get out and we got to run some laps. We got to get in shape for the game.
Listen, you have to fail fast. You have to figure out what doesn't work and what works. But the quicker you do it, the faster you strike a chord with your audience, and that's really the key.
All right, I'm going to circle back to the video here, because hopefully everyone has enough. I don't think we have all the information, but you give us a good idea of what you're doing and why you're successful at RESF. YouTube. I don't think enough agents, and because I could see it, because when I have guests on, I go through all their social media like yours, and I comb from LinkedIn to YouTube and what they have available. I see a lot of agents, if they have a YouTube channel, their videos are a couple years old. They're not regularly putting out information, because I think YouTube's like a library, and even if it is a property showing, someone who searches that from wherever in the country, searches that neighborhood, you may have had a video that was 3 years old from there, but they may like that, and you still are interacting and possibly might get a call from that person. But tell me what your attitude is towards YouTube, and as far as, because you're the video guy.
Listen, I think number one, first and foremost, real estate is a reputation business. Okay. And what easy way to document, your past transactions than on YouTube? Number one. Okay. Easy to share. Everybody has access to it. What have you done in your past? What have you sold in the past? Let me share with you my last couple listings, or my last dozen, or my last 20 listings. I think it's super powerful. I think that the reality moving forward is that real estate agents are going to have to get behind the camera. They're going to have to teach. They're going to have to grow their reputation, no longer behind the emails. And for me, YouTube is a platform that allows Google to let, that allows you to be searchable on Google, that allows you to track your analytics to see if your content is working or if it isn't working, to see where people are seeing your stuff. And for me, data is powerful. And the earlier you start, creating those cookie crumbs of data, the better you're going to become at identifying who your audience is, what they like, and what content gravitates to them. And that's from a back end, perspective. I think from a front end perspective, I don't know about you, but I'm on YouTube when I'm free. I'm looking at stuff that YouTube thinks is interesting to me. The things that are interesting to me, I go to YouTube to check it out. So my professor in college once told me, George, marketing is very simple. Put your marketing where people's eyes are at. And I don't know about you, but my eyes are on YouTube. So I think as a realtor, it only makes sense to put your marketing where people's eyes are at, and it's free. Unless you want to invest some money on it, it really makes sense to, from the very beginning, start making your mistakes, start learning what works, and start growing that reputation on that platform.
I heard you say in one of your talks there in your keynotes, the Uber of real estate. Did I hear that correctly? What do you mean by the Uber of real estate?
Well, I'm sure that I've been asked about what threats are out there in one way or another, or technology, where it's going. So maybe you probably heard that from there. But there's no doubt that my kids, not us, but my kids are growing up in a generation, where they're pressing a button and food's being delivered to their house. They're pressing a button and a driver's coming over there. They press a button and whatever they want on Amazon gets delivered over there. So think that as real estate practitioners, it'd be foolish for us not to be thinking in that direction. How can I create, that one stop, one click, opportunity to connect with our clients? And for me, the closest that I feel from a tech perspective that we've been able to do that, again, it has been with video, and that's type of marketing. Let me click a button and let me turn my phone sideways. Let me open up my computer, or my new favorite, let me put on my Oculus and let me get into a 360 video and take a tour and see, what people are experiencing.
How important, one thing I talk to agents, I try to set up actually something I've been starting to doing outside of a full-fledged like podcast like we're doing here, where this will go out to Apple and Spotify and those things, is just having them sit down with me and we talk about real estate. Hey, what's going on? What do you got going on? You got a listing this week for 20, 30 minutes. Cause I can roll out, some of them are good enough. They'll roll out 10, 11 really good reels right out of that 30-minute conversation. And that creates a file. But taking that information, I think a lot of them go short of, I take that reel, I'm putting it on Facebook. Everything I video goes to YouTube, shorts and long term. And you got TikTok and Instagram. You've got, just by clicking in some TikTok, you can schedule out 10 days in advance. YouTube will take it as far out as you want to go. Instagram's more of a daily thing. So I click in the morning and, throw it in there. But I think Facebook, you can actually schedule too. It's a little more complicated than the others. But understanding this video can be repurposed for so many different things to create the content to stay top of mind in front of their prospective buyers and sellers.
Listen, again, the versatility of video, it's incredible. Lives forever, can be cut up, can be shortened, can be long, can be extended, can be added to, a success reel. You're 100% right with that.
How important do you feel when you're doing the house showing, the house video, especially, I see some of these agents on Saturday morning, really just taking their phone on a selfie stick, but for get themselves in the video to start building that relationships. Cause I've heard, and I'm sure you've got factual data because you speak about it, about sometimes, our mind doesn't differentiate between the person sitting in front of us and us sitting there like you and I'm looking at you through a video, differentiate that we are, 200 or 300 miles away from each other, but you start building a relationship by them seeing you, your expressions, your mannerisms and so forth. And you start actually building a relationship.
No, listen, I think that, the psychology, like you were saying, of people seeing your eyes, people seeing your expressions, that mental connection that happens, subconsciously in your mind is powerful. One thing that I remind my audience in real estate is that in our business, you are the product. You are the product. So the more you appear, the more you become that product in front of your client's eyes. I predict that the best agents in the future, the future, the 2020, the 2034s, the 2044s are going to be those that are going to be like reporters, like TV reporters. I got this new listing, welcome outside. Let's take those that are really good at bringing the consumer in, really good at connecting, being very authentic, and not embarrassing.
Goes back to the emotion thing.
Yeah,
like you said earlier.
Not being afraid of the camera and being able to storytell very well. I think those are going to be, some of the techniques that we're going to be training in the future. Smile, keep your chin up, walk slowly, use your hands.
So when they're doing that, the importance of it. And when you're training, I imagine you get agents, or do they already know your reputation? They're like, hey, he wants us all to do video and I don't like doing video, so I'm not going to go talk to George. I'm going to go to some other brokerage. How do you break the ice of some of these people? Because there's so many out there. And unfortunately, we realize some will just never do it. But I've been trying to obviously coax them in as my added value in what I like to do, which is this, to get them in and help them create their video. Because they can naturally have a conversation with you, but they're a little scared to stand there like that spokesperson that you're talking about. What are some of the things that you do to help, show them the ease of it, and that no one really cares what being attractive, helps, but you being real is more important.
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest with you. The way that I help my agents grow out of that is I put them in opportunities to get in front of the camera and do it. And as a broker, that's all you can do is create those opportunities when they come into the office. I'll give you an example. This last month, our marketing guys that told our managers, hey, we want a 30-second reel of any agent that walks into the office, their full name, what they specialize in, how long they've been in the business, and they're cutting it up. So just creating those opportunities helps build their confidence. By the way, I'm very convincing. So peer pressure, works very well as well. So, strong arming them. Hey, come over here, do it. Come on, just do it. I don't care. Get it done. Works very well as well. And just being patient. Sometimes people grow at different rates. And I've also known that, hey, guess what? Sometimes video isn't for you. And I respect that as well.
How do you have your office set up as far as, you have a full-time videographer that helps take care of the 500 agents? You have a couple people in a marketing team that's helping, shoot that video scenario, and then obviously maybe cut it up in some reels, edit it a little bit. How do you have your office as far as, video support?
So we have a full-time videographer, and what he does is he divides his week with Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and the Keys. So we'll do two and two. I have a brand manager who she controls all of our social media, most of our marketing. I have somebody in Colombia as well that helps with the distribution of our marketing internally within workplace, within Facebook, within social media. So from a distribution perspective, we source that out. And most of my managers in our office, are trained to, do little minor things here and there if need be. But we normally, every coffee with George, we have all of our marketing stuff created. We use Canva and Express Docs where we have our templates loaded up. And in our trainings, we train our agents, put your headshot here, and this is the way you work it. So think that we try to automate as much as we can and leverage, new and established technologies within our industry as well to get them out there.
Yes, I think that's another challenge is most of them, like you're saying, you got to fail forward, and they're like, okay, I created a video, but then what am I going to do with it? And having that support that knows how to put it on Instagram, knows that's things I've learned about. I got like 800 videos or something on my podcast thing, and I've had people critique it. I'm still not there in perfect perfection, but little tidbits you pick up, and there's of course a lot of stuff online. You need to, I was posting Instagram without saying anything. And you need to put say something about the video, right? And just little things like that. And I think people get the analysis paralysis, like, oh, I don't know what to do, so they just don't do it. But I love the proactiveness. That's just awesome. I want to finish here with you, just talking about some of your leadership things that you've taken on. Obviously, I think the one I like the most is being considered one of the top 50 brokers and being put into a committee at Florida Realtors. I'm working on my realtors. That's wrong. It's realtors. I've been corrected. Cindy corrected me on that. So, and Sharon Hoydick at Florida Realtors as well. But go through some of your leadership things, and even at NAR, and why did you think it is important, and what are some of the things that you learned by being involved in some of these boards and so forth?
So great question. And I'm going to remind you that I'm an independent broker.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a KW family event. I don't have a rheology event either. So my greatest learning is traveling to these events, rubbing shoulders with people that are practicing throughout the state, and talking shop over drinks or dinner. To me, that's where I learned that either I was doing things right and I was doing things really good, or wow, this guy in this sector of Florida is doing this differently. Man, I can really use that. So first and foremost, it was an opportunity to really educate myself and surround myself with non-competitors who were willing to pull their sleeves back and over drinks and dinner, talk shop. To me, that was my first aha. Man, you know what? I can really benefit from this. And in the top 50 brokers is where I got a little peek of that. And if you're able to ever attend that committee meeting, the best part is when we break up into groups and we talk about our industry. That's where we get our best value. That's where we come out, with aha, this is good stuff. It's really worth the drive. So for me, that was my first attraction to leadership. Second part of leadership that attracted me was, being a decision maker. In my industry, especially here in South Florida, the biggest issues happen here. What happens up in Jacksonville happens 10,000 times more in South Florida. So to make sure that the most important issues are met and addressed, I wanted to make sure that I had a seat at the table. Coming from a father who was in construction, my father was also very involved in the construction industry. He taught me the importance of advocating, being involved. This industry is not just about a commission. You have an opportunity, to really shape people's lives and to shape people's industries. And if you're lucky enough to have the opportunity and the trust of people, I think you got to do it. And for me, I've been very lucky that I've been always very involved, always had a nose on what we needed to do, always had great people that believed in me, supported me, and leaned on them as well as a good wife and family as well that allowed me to do this as well. And been very lucky that every opportunity that I've had for leadership, I've always been accepted, and we've been able to make a difference and move the needle. So the top 50s to me was awesome. I had the opportunity to be the National Association Global Liaison. So I got to Zoom right after COVID throughout the whole entire world and see, what was going on in their country. I can tell you that Florida, everybody was super interested in Florida. They were talking about our governor, believe it or not. They were talking about safety and the opportunity that South Florida represented to them from a global perspective. And what I love about that opportunity was I got to meet realtors throughout the whole entire world. So a little kid from Miami, came from Cuba. That there's no home ownership there. I got to see how home ownership was throughout the whole entire world. I got reminded how important it was. I got reminded why my parents left, Cuba to come to the U.S. And what a difference that has made for our lives. And getting involved here in Florida Realtors as treasurer. Again, huge opportunity within my state, a state that I've been lobbying for, a state that I've been raising money for, and that I've been very involved to be part of the leadership team and, make sure that we're going in that direction, has been a huge honor as well.
That, I think that really sums it up. I mean, anyone listening to this, and not everybody wants to, be at the board, but, right now I felt, and we were talking with Cindy Hayden yesterday, I mean, Florida's on a cutting edge right now. We're treading into territory we have not dealt with, especially Northeast Florida, because obviously I'm here and we're kind of the last major city in Florida as far as population and growth potential here. But I mean, the whole state still has growth potential. But, Northeast Florida has been that, low taxes and so forth. But insurance, right? I know you're dealing with that down there. It is becoming a big factor, and how important it is for every agent, whether you're at the point of the sword, like you are on boards, but those agents who may not, be interested in taking on the board committee, but to reach out to you I'm sure you're sharing with your team down there what you bring back when you go to Orlando and come to the meetings. You're sharing with what you think is valuable for them. But right now is more than ever, whether it's the Mortgage Bankers Association and the mortgage loan officers, the insurance agents in Florida, but the real estate agents in Florida, we really need to come together and really start focusing in on what's going on. So obviously we can make it a little more appetizing, because insurance obviously is the big thing right now. It's blowing up. It's costing people the affordability of homes and so forth. But tip a little bit on how important it is for everyone to stay in tuned with what's going on, whether you're directly involved on that board or just know someone like yourself who's in there helping make decisions.
Listen, the reality is that we are the tip of the spear when it comes to dealing with the consumer, and the consumer is going to come to us first and say, hey, my insurance rose 100%. I'm on a fixed income. This is disastrous to me. Where am I going to come up with this money? We have two options. We can pretend we have no idea what's going on, or we can say, hey, let me tell you what we're doing. Let me tell you where the fight is. Let me tell you how you can help us make a difference as well. So for me, just being in the know, being able to do the part of our job, which is counseling and psychology, very well by knowing what's going on. I think it's step number one. Number two, the insurance issue is going to affect us as well. And we have an opportunity to invest in RPAC, where we go after candidates that really understand the issues, that really know how to make a difference, and that know the importance of home ownership. And we need to start growing that army. When it comes to insurance, it's a big deal. Affordable housing is a huge deal. South Florida, Florida has boomed, in the last 24, 36 months, where home affordability with interest rates have made it impossible for the average Joe to live here.
Yep.
When it comes to water quality, okay, this is another thing that's big in our agenda. Here we don't have any mountains, we don't have anything. Water is our main source. It's a huge deal for us. And you know what, as realtors, if you're going to make it here long term, you will be having conversations with your clients on all of these factors. I think the better well-versed you are, the better asset you're going to be with your client. At the same time, if you get involved, I think the more serious you're going to take our industry, the more passionate you're going to be about everything besides a commission. Commission comes with it. The question is, will you leave something for your kids? Will you leave a community that's better, than you left it?
Right. I mean, you're experiencing international buyers, let alone our buyers from New York. It's different in Florida. We do things differently here. I'm from the Northeast. I was born in New York, grew up in Massachusetts. HOAs, what's that? They don't know how, just as simple as that's standard procedure here in Florida. Community development districts, that's another thing here in Northeast Florida. I know over towards Tampa is big as well. Knowing about those.
Miami as well.
Yeah, they're coming. So
no,
you have to understand that and how to sell that.
Listen, I think Miami invented the CDD. Believe it or not.
I personally was served on my board for 11 years in my community. After knowing about it, and obviously I do actually have a little, it's not any approved course, but a little seminar I put on, explain to agents what is the CDD and how do you actually sell it to these people who come from up there. Like, oh, what's going on and the fees and everything. Well, it's all about lifestyle, right? That's Florida, that they're moving here for the lifestyle. So, but we can go on another subject there, but knowing those, getting involved in understanding with that, understanding an HOA, understanding condo associations. And obviously, you guys are dealing, with the whole state, everyone's dealing now with the whole condo and having them, inspected and their delayed maintenance and all that kind of stuff going on. Being in front of that curve on that. And of course now insurance, the homeowner's insurance on top of that. If you know that client moving down is going to see you in a different light, you may only be a year into the game, but if you are in front of it versus that person might be here 10 years, but they're not staying in front of those subjects, doesn't sound good. And it is how you come across and your ability to sell and obviously build confidence.
Absolutely.
Yep. I want to finish with here for you. I know your wife's out there. Hopefully the car's charged up now. Do you want to share with, or what are you looking to share with everyone here at the RE Bar Camp One Coast here on the 26th?
So selfishly, I'm looking to learn. You know, I know from my experience that the bar camp is real estate at the speed of now. It's people practicing at what's really working in today's day. So I'm looking to absorb and see what they're doing. And, you know, I will be sharing, if asked, and if I see an opportunity, you know, how a high performance team in South Florida, in one of the most competitive markets, is performing, what tips and tricks we're using, what technology we're using, where we see technology innovating and going towards. We will be, like we are in all the bar camps in open book, looking to share just as much as we receive.
So everyone listening, you know, he's all about video, and you've heard a little bit about how he structures his office, having some questions to start a conversation and start sharing secrets, not secrets, but sharing, what do we go?
So listen, I'll give you two things that we're playing around with that we're enjoying a lot.
Okay.
360 video, which we're having a blast with, and augmented reality, you know, making print come alive. So those are two things that we're expecting 2024, 2025 to start growing within the real estate industry. So we've already started experimenting with that. So we'll be sharing some of our findings, you know, at bar camp if asked.
Cool. Okay. Well, there's two questions right there. You're on your way to Orlando, you said.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to shoot you an email. I shared with Cindy a vision that I have, and I want if you can respond to it, you know, when you have time, you know, later tonight or whatever, tomorrow, just a vision I have, I want to share with you and get your feedback, but I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for the invite. Greatly appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing you in Jacksonville.
Looking forward to meet you. 10-4. All right, George.